Okay, we're going to make coffee. Okay, we're going to roast coffee. First thing we're going to do, we get this popcorn popper. First thing we do is get rid of this. That's not what we're here for. There's two kinds of popcorn poppers. All right, the kind that has the vents around the outside and the kind that has the heating thing in the center. This has the heating thing in the center. Okay, it's a house burner. That's why you have to monitor it. You want the ones that have the spinning action, that has the vents around the outside of this chamber, but this will do because it's all I have. Okay. First off, we start off with green coffee. Okay. Now these are green coffee beans. Okay. I got these years ago. They've been sitting down here in the garage. Through heat, through cold. All right, through all kinds of harsh conditions. And I want to see if they're any good. I want to see if green coffee has a lifespan. So we're going to try some of these things. Before we do anything, we're going to use this hurricane lamp. So put it on there like that. Reason for that is this thing blows a lot of chaff. All right, we want to be able to contain the beans when they pop as well. Okay, so let's get started. You're going to lose some of them, and you want to stir that up a little bit because we're dealing with a spot this big that's going to provide all the heat, and we want an even roast. Look at all the chaff coming off of this. We're waiting for the second crack. There it goes. Still a little on the blonde side. I want it just a little darker than that. Now it's starting to crack. That's the seeds expanding. The moisture that's still in the seeds is expanding and cracking. Okay, we don't want this is really hot, so. As soon as we do that, and that's fresh roasted coffee. We're going to do that again and keep going until we have enough. Okay, what you see here, those are the green beans before we started to roast. Okay, and this is what these turned into after the roast. You can tell just by the look of them. They really expanded. Okay, what they did is they expanded the moisture inside the green beans here. Okay, evaporated really quick, and that's what caused the crack. And the cracking is an indication that the roasting is almost complete. And this is pretty much what we have. They'll darken up a little bit, all right, as we go. And what I'm doing is I'm keeping them in this jar here, all right. This is like 2 runs, no big deal, okay. But that's about a nice medium roast. Um, they'll be in here for maybe about an hour or 2 to vent off. Right now they're venting CO2. All right, they're cooling down, they're venting CO2. In about 2 hours, it'll be right for grinding and making coffee, which is what we're going to do, and compare it to something else. But I find that absolutely fascinating, the difference between these 2 beans. You know, unpopped and popped, okay? But primarily I want to see how long the shelf life is for green beans. Like I say, I've had these beans here for years, sitting in the garage on a shelf, cold in the winter, hot in the summer, um, periods of humidity, extreme dryness, and they still have moisture content in order to crack. I know the after you roast coffee, it has 2 weeks. It has 2 weeks before it starts to degrade. 2 weeks after the roast, after that, it becomes a shadow of its former self. So the coffee you buy in the supermarket is pretty much non-coffee, coffee flavored, whatever it is, and it gets worse after time. But this stuff is the fresh stuff, okay? And even though it's, what kind of coffee is this? Costa Rican coffee. You know, it's not the best. Not by any stretch of the imagination, okay? But let's see how it compares with 8 o'clock. Okay. Well, it's different from 8 o'clock coffee. It's rich, robust, okay, and not by any means bad. This is black, all right. What I did is I gave it an espresso grind, okay, which is basically about 4 cups of coffee in this one right here, maybe 5 or 6. So it's very rich. All right, I probably could have made a really good cup of coffee with half as much, but I use this unit right over here when I'm making 1 cup at a time, and that's pretty much the way I make it. Full espresso grind, packed all the way up to the top with a little basket in there, and one of these is enough to keep me going. But I gotta tell you, I don't know if it's the caffeine or the fact that it tastes good, but I'm getting a little bit of a buzz from this thing. So apparently, all the caffeine is still there. When you warehouse coffee, all right, it's roasted, it's warehoused. Like I say, 2 weeks after you roast the coffee, it starts to degrade. All right, and there's a lot of warehouses that keeps coffee around like forever. It's not as quick to the stores as it should be. It's not as sold as fast as it could be. And I'm sure every supermarket that you go to, you might come back in a week and still see the same bags there. So they're degrading, minute by minute, hour by hour. Green coffee beans apparently have an extremely long shelf life. These has been sitting in the garage for years under all kinds of climatic conditions, and this tastes just great. Um, it's what the pioneers had. They didn't have the luxury of somebody else roasting them for them. They roasted the beans themselves on a frying pan over the fire. And, when they popped a couple of times, they ground them up by hand. What a labor that is. And they made pretty good coffee. All right. So the early pioneers, they had at least decent coffee compared to what we have. Mr. Coffee ruined it, of course. Roasting it in New Jersey and then drinking it in New Mexico, yeah, that just doesn't quite make it. But if you're going to appreciate coffee, roast it yourself. Get yourself a popcorn popper. You could get them for $9 or $10. Biggest thing is getting the coffee beans, but if they have an extremely long shelf life, all right, be worth it getting some. I just wonder how much Sumatra beans cost.